Most comfortable shoes feel great for the first few hours, but then become sore after wearing them for days on your feet. After testing hundreds of shoes and seeing thousands of patients in clinic, there are actually 5 different types of comfortable shoes. First type of comfort is the one that most people think of, that soft max cushioning shoe. These reduce pressure underneath your foot really well, especially if you spend a lot of time on hard surfaces or you get discomfort around your heel. The New Balance More V6 is one of the safest shoes that you can buy right now. It's got fresh foam max cushioning, which is really soft and plush underfoot. So when you initiate contact with the ground, you get that immediate comfort, softness, pillow-like feel. It's got a low drop, so difference in height from the back to the front of the shoe, which means that you get a nice even distribution of pressure across your foot, whether you're standing in them or you're using them for walking. In addition to that, it's got one of the widest platforms that you'll see underneath your foot, which gives you increased ground contact feel, making it inherently more stable as a shoe despite the amount of cushioning that you have. On top of the shoe, you've got plenty of space in the toe box, you've got a nice stretchy engineered mesh, and an excellent fit that's true to size overall. The rock around this shoe is subtle, so it means that it pushes you forward without being too aggressive or putting extra pressure underneath the ball of your foot, making it an excellent option for that all day, everyday wear. Then in contrast to that, we have the Nike Vomero Plus. It has a much more bouncy, springy, energetic cushioning and the Zoom X cushioning, which you see in a lot of their elite running shoes. So this is a nice squishy, bouncy feel, but it's also got a more aggressive forefoot rocker than what we see in the More V6. That means that it helps to spring you forward a little bit more, so it's a little bit fun underfoot. So the bouncier cushioning and the more aggressive geometry really make it a quicker shoe underfoot. Now on top of the shoe, it's got plenty of space in the toe box, but it does taper a little bit more than what we see in the More V6. So if you've got a wider foot, you might need the wide option in this shoe. It's a true to size and length. One of the other big differences compared to the More V6 is that it's got a narrower platform underneath your foot. So if you think about the huge volume of cushioning underneath your foot, if you've got a narrow platform, that inherently makes the shoe a little bit more unstable. So if you're someone that needs a bit more stability but wants a more max cushion shoe, you might think towards the More V6. Whereas if you want a bouncy, fun, energetic, max cushion shoe, you might look towards the Vomero Plus. But softness in a shoe isn't always what makes it most comfortable in the long term. And that's where we have 2 examples of more stability focused shoes. The Hoka Gaviota 6 is a max cushion shoe, but it's very deceptive underfoot. So when you think about Hoka, you often think about that plushness and softness, as it was one of the first shoes to introduce these max cushion shoes. However, the Gaviota 6 is a completely different story. That's partly got to do with the H frame that's built into it to give extra stability to the shoe. So the cushion is much firmer underfoot, you feel that resistance much sooner than you do in some other shoes that we'll talk about. The H frame gives you a non-invasive form of stability, so it gives you support both on the outside and the inside of the shoe and across the middle, increasing the torsional stability of the shoe. It's got a nice metal rocker to help propel you forward, and it's got the widest toe box of all the Hoka shoes on the market. So it's got plenty of space in there, but it does come in a wide version as well, with an excellent fit on top, and otherwise a true to size and length. Then in contrast to that, we've got a little bit of more stability shoe in the Asics Gel Kayano 32. Now this provides stability in a different way. It has a 4D guidance system which includes a broad-based support underneath your foot, sole flare, which is where the sole comes out wider than where your foot sits in the shoe, increasing the amount of contact that you have with the ground. It has a really rigid heel counter, and this is where it wraps around your heel to try and control those pronation moments when you initiate contact with the ground. And crucially, it has a form of arch support right in the center of the shoe. This is something that's very different and very traditional that we don't see in most modern stability shoes. So if you're someone who likes to have a little bit of support underneath your arch, you struggle with a bit of pronation moments, or you've got a flatter foot and you need that extra element of support, this is where the Kayano steps in, providing that support without it being overly intrusive. It's got a true to size and length as well. It's got plenty of space in the toe box, comes in a wide version. It's got a much thinner gusseted tongue than what we see in the Gaviota 6, and it's got lots of padding around the heel counter. So if you're looking for a plush stability shoe that provides arch support, look no further than the Kayano. If you want a max cushion shoe that has firm cushioning, gives you lots of stability underfoot, then the Gaviota 6 is an excellent option. Now if you don't like the feeling of having all that support, the next options might be of interest to you. Rocker bottom shoes do an excellent job at making it easier to walk, they facilitate a better push-through motion, and they can reduce the amount of pressure and workload at your calf and ankle. And that's where the Cloudmonster 3 comes into play. It has Cloud's classic helium cushioning, but it's a triple layer of this, which means that it absorbs impact really well, absorbs all that vibration when you hit the ground. It has a really good bevel at the back of the shoe and an aggressive forefoot rocker at the front. So it means that when you hit the ground, the smooth bevel means that you just transition quickly to the middle of the shoe and then you push off quickly as well. So it's a really interesting shoe if you want a fun shoe to walk in and run in that's bouncy and soft, but still has lots of elements of stability because it has a nice broad-based support, some sidewalls, which is where parts of the midsole comes up on the outside and inside around the heel to try and cup that ankle, helping to control those pronation moments. It's got one of the best uppers on the market, which is extremely durable, really breathable, plenty of space in the toe box, and it's just true to size and length as well. The only thing that we dislike about it is it could do a little bit more padding around the tongue, or it could be a little bit longer to stop a bite on the front of the ankle. Now, if you're someone who's interested in a rocker bottom shoe, it's important to know about toe spring, and that's how elevated your toes are held within inside the shoe. So if you've got a lot of toe spring, it holds it in slight extension, which means that it facilitates a nice push-off phase of the gait cycle. However, if you're someone who has sensitivity around the big toe joint or conditions like metatarsalgia, you want as little toe spring as possible in a rocker bottom shoe. Now, the Cloudmonster 3 has a huge amount of toe spring, so it may not be ideal for everybody. In contrast to that, we have the Nike Vomero 18. Now, this has a low level of toe spring, but it's got a nice forefoot rocker, and it's got a blended midsole, so it's a really bouncy, really soft feel underneath your foot. So if you're looking for a much softer feel than what we get in the Cloudmonster 3, then the Vomero 18 is the best option. It's really bouncy, really fun, loads of space in the toe box on top, comes in lots of different vibrant colours, and it's got an excellent lockdown on top so that your foot doesn't slip around. It's one of the shoes that we feel is quite underrated in the Nike range. It comes in a great price point, which is usually nearly half of what we see in the Cloudmonster 3, and you can check out the latest prices for it in the description below. Then we move on to a category which I classify as balance cushioning, which is the category that I recommend most to our patients. Now, the Brooks Ghost Max 3 is a shoe that we recommend most often to people. That's because it's the safest choice in the market in terms of having a broad-based support underneath your foot. It's got balanced, a firmer cushioning, which makes it quite stable underfoot. So despite being a max cushion shoe, you don't sink into it too much. You feel that resistance relatively quickly. It's got a very subtle forefoot rocker, minimal toe spring, lots of space in the toe box, and it's the most orthotic friendly shoe on the market. So if you're looking for a comfortable shoe and you've got a flatter foot, or you want to put an orthotic inside the shoe, this is going to be your best option. It's not the lightest or the prettiest shoe on the market, but it does a really solid job of giving you all day comfort, whether you use it for walking, standing, whether you're just using it in the city, or you want to use it on some light trails. It's got you covered for all of those aspects. In contrast to that, we've got the Hoka Bondi 9. Now, this is a shoe that's become hugely popular in the hospitality section, by nurses, in healthcare, just because it's so versatile. It's a little bit lighter than the Ghost Max 3, and it's got Hoka's classic CMEVA cushioning, which is really plush, really comfortable, but has a really broad base of support underneath the shoe to provide them elements of stability. It has Hoka's classic metal rocker, which gives you a subtle push forward when you're walking, but that really broad base makes it really stable when you're standing for long periods of time as well. One of the downsides of this is that it's got a slightly narrower toe box, and therefore some of you with a wider foot may need to get the wide version in this shoe. It also comes in a slip resistant version as well for those of you who work in somewhere like hospitality where you need a little bit of extra grip because there might be some wet floors, and that usually comes in at a slightly higher price point than the classic Bondi 9. It has a really nice fit on top that's really breathable, and this curve in the back of the heel is exceptionally good if you've got something like Highlands deformity or sensitivity on the back of the heel, as this groove just creates a little bit of space there for it. So if you're looking for a plusher, more balanced option, then you might look towards the Bondi 9. If you're looking for a firmer, more spacious shoe, then you look towards the Brooks Ghost Max 3. Then finally, I want to talk you through some of the most comfortable, lightweight shoes on the market. Now, the New Balance Ellipse is a recent release from New Balance, which sits somewhere in between the 1080 and the More V6. So those of you unfamiliar with those ranges, the 1080 was one of the most popular shoes in the market, but the more recent model is more running focused than walking focused. So the Ellipse has filled this gap, and it's an exceptionally lightweight shoe despite the amount of cushioning underfoot. So it has New Balance's famous Fresh Foam X cushioning, which is extremely soft and pillow-like in terms of feel, a really good heel bevel, which means that you transition nicely when you initiate contact with the ground, and a nice 4-foot rocker without too much toe spring. So really comfortable and really smooth and fun to walk in. It's got plenty of space in the toe box, it comes in a really nice colour range, and has a great lockdown on top. So if you're looking for a slightly cheaper shoe, that's lightweight, that's plenty of space in the toe box, and it's really soft underfoot, it's hard to look past the value of the Ellipse at the moment. Then in contrast to that, we have a lesser known shoe, and that's the Altra Experience Flow 3. Now it has less cushioning than all of the other shoes that we talked about today, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. In return for that, you get the best anatomical toe box on the market, so that's where you've got ample space for your toes to spread, facilitating the normal movement of your foot, and it's an extremely flexible shoe, both in the toe box and torsionally as well. That means the wide toe box, minimal cushioning, and flexibility facilitates a very natural movement of your foot within a shoe. So there's no need to have an aggressive 4-foot rocker because your foot can move as it's supposed to do inside the shoe. Now, some people who are used to more max cushion shoe, when they're thinking about comfort, may struggle to adjust to this type of shoe, and it should be done gradually over a period of time, rather than just going from one into this. Then on top, we still have a great lockdown. It's important caveat to know about this shoe is it's got one of the best toe boxes on the market, but it's a very snug fit in the heel and the midfoot. So if you've got a wide foot throughout the whole shoe, you might want to think about the Ghost Max 3 or the New Balance More V6. So a relatively unique shoe, but I think it's a great option to include because it will do a fantastic job for a lot of people out there. Now, all shoes are linked in the description below if you want to check out the latest price on Amazon, as they're changing all the time. If you're interested in these types of reviews, I have a monthly newsletter which gives you updates on what I've released, but also what shoes are on sale at the moment that are of good value. You can sign up to that in the link below. Otherwise, if you're new to the channel or you watch us regularly and you haven't subscribed, please consider it as the single thing that you can do for free that makes the biggest difference to our channel. It really helps us to create more and more in-depth reviews for you. Then finally, thank you very much for tuning in once again.